You see, Lindsay Oil seems to be doing it as well now. Well, not now. Just seems like they're all at it. We've got a problem with the paradigm shift and modern technology. It's like they're all drug addicts or food addicts or just the word addicts. Well, social media addicts. I think that's what it is, social media addicts. And I think now that they've all become celebrities. I don't think MPs were celebrities. If you look at a lot of the members of the House of Lords, which Keir Starmer wants to get rid of, even that William Legg guy, who's meant to be owns loads of land, for example, doing loads of building and stuff like that. Most of the public don't know who these shadow figures are, particularly earls and barons and lords. They've all done certain political work in and about government, but mainly in the shadows, I think, unless they've been someone like Boris Johnson. But even Boris Johnson's a product of modern politics. And then Rees-Mogg on GB News, there was a newspaper story about Russell Brand and the building permission on his pub in Pishill, the Crown. And in this newspaper article, it just mentioned that a couple of the locals had been opposing it. It was only a small newspaper article. And there was one of the barons or the lords, I forget his name at the moment, but he's actually from a heritage which is pre-conquest. So it's like a pre-Norman conquest family, which goes back to the Anglo-Saxons, right? And people like that, they're not, they're not jumping on X Factor or going on quiz shows or trying to make pop songs. They do work for government. I mean, look, Lord Hanningfield would not have been in the newspapers and got attention for that privileges case if he hadn't have been accused of breaking the law by the newspaper. And it was the newspaper who was apparently not just sat in a newspaper office with random people coming in to bring stories in to print in the newspaper, because, that's what happens if you want to sell chips. People bring potatoes in and then you fry them, right? The newspaper is itself directing its own journalism rather than people coming with stories that have happened. It's looking for particular stories. It's following people to make particular claims to get people like Lord Hanningfield or get celebrities. And even Prince Harry with this, even though I'm not an advocate of Prince Harry, people like Prince Harry with that phone hacking thing. Well, we're all getting a phone hack now. You don't have to be Prince Harry, but they're not jumping in front of the camera, right? Now, even Baron Denham, right, in the 1800s, he's appearing in articles because he's speaking in the Lords. So when you speak in the Lords, you appear in the sessions, right? You appear in the sessions records if you're speaking, right? And most people who are interested in that are only people who are interested in politics or other politicians. And also they do write articles, like I've got this quarterly review in the Edinburgh Review and other publications back then, but I don't think that they exactly were Laura Ashley or Lewis Carroll, or even Charles Dickens or Shakespeare. It's a job. Like a British Telecom report. It's like a British Telecom yearly annual report or whatever, right? They answer questions, but it's a completely different thing, right? And what's happened with social media is they've ended up being interviewed by the BBC, which is what, you always grew up with that. You grew up with putting the BBC on, and then they might have Margaret Thatcher answering questions on there, and then just showing her, doing an announcement in front of Number 10 or whatever. And it's what's happened is people such as Zoe Ball, Claudia Winkleman, all the producers of those type of shows, right? Philip Schofield, who are in gross excess socially. They're social addicts. They're like heroin or food, chocolate addicts. But for social, they want audiences cheering at them. They want to be worshipped like gods. They want everyone buying their stuff, everyone watching them all the time, everything they do, right? Never mind Philip Schofield on an island by himself. Everyone's watching it. There's no point in going on an island by himself and filming it if everyone's watching it. He wants everybody to be watching it, right? Now, what happened is they started to pull people in, like grab them by the arm, come and let's have, Boris Johnson on Strictly Come Dancing or whatever, like that basis. Oh, we'll see if we can get them on the show, because people are interested in them. But that's when that happened, that's when they crossed the line, right? Don't matter if it's cool or trendy. You don't be an MP because it's cool or trendy, right? You be an MP because you want to run the government and have ideas for what the laws should be, and you want to represent people in your local area like your doctor represents you in a local surgery, right? And he makes you better. If you want to be on Top Gear like Boris, then be a TV presenter, right? Now, what's happened is that they wanted to try and get people to support their parties and vote for them, their brand, Tory, Labour. So it was a good way to basically, you might as well have it, well, they've already sort of done it when they've got Manchester United, and they've got everyone in the red and everyone in the blue, right? But they wanted, it's more than football. They wanted to get into the homes, because the household name, the household celebrity is a lot of influence on the family, like Coronation Street or whatever, And when you're sitting down with those shows, it's getting the whole thing is to familiarise yourself with them, become familiar, so they're part of the family, so you know their character, and even if you like them or love them, you love them. So you might hate Boris Johnson's policies, but you end up wanting to cuddle him on the sofa because he's cute, cuddly Boris, until he blows the country down the tube hole with the whole COVID mess up, right? It's like your family members. This is the whole point of, religion and forgiveness. You live with your family, you might not always get on with them, but it's the whole thing. They wanted to familiarise themselves with people so they could, and this is part of what the whole Amazon and the whole agenda is with these big corporate BlackRock, Vanguard buyout, sellout thing. But no, you've got more clever people, producers, political party orchestrators, Lord Chamberlain, authorising plays, if they ain't got a licence, they can't do it, they've got an interest in theatrics, right? But there's particular people, Boris, Rees-Mogg, who they can use as celebrities to be celebrated. And they can play a villain, play a bad guy, or play a hero, whichever they want. But this is now, if they're a villain or a hero, this is a character, a caricature, right? It's not a politician. And even they probably, Spitting Image even in the 80s probably had already started to go across that line back then, I would have thought. Spitting Image, because you are familiarising with them, right? So this is all the art and science of popular culture. Professor Tim Wilson did a video the other day on, populism or whatever. I mean, I listened to it. I didn't soak it all in because I was kind of multitasking and doing something else while I was listening to it, right? But it was going on about, the Roman culture and everything, and it was getting really complicated about populism. But I've actually just realised that in a very, very simple way, spitting image is populism, because it's actually it's popularising the politicians who weren't necessarily popular or even known. The politicians weren't even really known. You usually knew your own politician because you voted for them, but politics has never been as popular as football. Footballers know all the teams and all the games and all the scores and everything. You go to the bookies and bet on it, right? Less people are interested in politics and know all the politicians until in more recent times, right? But you can know them all, like you know your gas bill, or you can know them all, like you know a list of people to ring up, if your broadband's not working, right? Or if you need to list of doctors in the yellow pages, right? You can know them like the yellow pages. But populism, spitting image is it's creating a fictional character or a fictional emphasis, kind of like what they do with, like, the BMXers and the all these skateboarders when they make them into computer games, like with Tony Hawk, playable characters. You're actually role playing. Then you're pretending to be the character. I think Rishi Sunak used to say that they used to do role play instead of like fantasy role play like Lord of the Rings. I think Rishi Sunak said that someone said that they did like banking role play, so maybe they were learning how to be mean to people and take money off people when they were at school. Say, oh no, I'm not going to give you your money back or whatever. They were doing role play then. Which is fantasy, because if you're not really a banker and you haven't really got a bank, but pretend you have, it's fiction. Maybe they're brought up with fiction and that's why they lie all the time. But I think spitting image definitely is a good example of populism for sure, if you think about it, because what it does is it gets some of those men you've seen on television, on the BBC, and in interviews. You don't really know, when you're young, you don't really necessarily know who they are or what they do in government, or, I probably can't tell you the name of the guy with the walnut whip hairstyle, but I remember him. He was a character on Spitting Image, it's the guy with the walnut whip hairstyle. So when you're a child, what they're actually doing is getting you to be familiar with and like these characters and even laugh at them for their good and bad points. All members of the family, but you actually don't really learn that much about their politics, but it is making them popular. It's making people aware of them and like them. But that's the thing with politics. In elections and voting, being aware of someone, right, and liking them, which is, if you like someone, that's an electoral advantage. If they can get you to like them, they don't have to get you to like their policies for you to vote for them in the box. If they can get you to like them, right, then they can get you to tick the box and vote for them. If you like them, remember, you're voting for the person, remember, right, who you want to represent you. So, through spitting image, right, you can actually make these people popular, popularise them, right, which is populism. And they don't even have to have absolutely any policy or politics. You don't even have to know what they stand for, what kind of policies, All you have to do is, like, it's a caricature, the guy with the walnut whip hair, I like the guy with the walnut whip hair or whatever, or, even, Maggie Thatcher or whatever, or even if you dislike them, you're not going to vote for them. So I actually think now, thinking about it, and I don't really want to be boring, like the Grey John Major about it, but this is serious, because this is actually affecting the outcome, and people are complaining that, why are these parties in all the time? Why are these parties getting elected? Why didn't someone vote Lib Dem? You know, why aren't people voting Green? Why aren't people voting for independence? Like that guy in Rochdale who came second to George Galloway in that by-election who did really well. You know, people like that who you know. And this is why, because of Spitting Image and what else has happened similarly, right? Because it's populism. So I guess I have learned something from Tim Wilson, even though I wasn't even paying full attention, because he raised the subject. And actually now I've had some time to think about it, which is like the last 2 minutes. You know, I'll give you a lecture on populism. You know, I can give you a lecture on populism in 2 minutes, right? So this is the thing. So that Spitting Image really is Class E materials, because it is a material which is political in nature. It's the subject of politics, right? So it's not golf, it's not sport, it's not history, it's not travel, right? It's political. It's about politicians who we elect, and they're not on answering questions because, you know, the government paid for a taxi for me to get to the studio to answer questions for the programme, to be accountable to the people, and then go home again, right, as a guest. It's what it's actually doing is it's a Class E material, so it's a political material, and it's not a petition. If it is a petition, I'd like to see where you can sign it, right? Because everyone's signing when they go vote, right? That's the thing. And it's actually, it's popularising MPs, and it's getting you to either like or hate them. Which, however, well, you know, if everyone hates Rees-Mogg and he gets voted out, then that's his loss. He wanted to gamble. If he wants to go to the casino, you get the chips, you put them on the table. There they are. I'm in. We're all in. Well, that's illegal, right? Spitting Image, we're all in. So, in fact, in Spitting Image Channel 4 or ITV or the BBC, if it's the BBC Spitting Image, that would be quite interesting, because that I might try prosecute. I'd prosecute them for that, actually. Now I've come to realise that, and other things. So that TV channel can be prosecuted. That production team for Spitting Image, unfortunately. But that's the way. If you would, you know, this is justice. It's not about whether you like it or don't like it. It's about the law. What is legal and what is illegal, right? That's the point. It's not about whether you like it or not. So, well, it's to them if they're getting people to vote. So, Spitting Image does popularise politicians. It caricatures them, creates populism around them, which is populism affects the outcome of elections, particularly when it's MPs, particularly when they're standing for election and candidates. So, I mean, and that's quite a severe, that is well, to have something like Spitting Image would have what you call a wide impact, right? A wide effect of influence, because it was a nationally broadcast programme. So with the Electoral Commission, whom I have to say are completely and utterly useless, the Electoral Commission are utterly useless in enforcing laws to do with elections. You know, they couldn't organise a piss up in a brothel, so to say, and I'm not too keen on that old saying. You know, and look at the Boundary Commission. Jonathan Swift's been appointed the head of the Boundary Commission. His nice little retirement job after doing the ULEZ case in the High Court, judging that, after he helped build the government finance from the illegal congestion charge. He gets to judge whether the whole thing's illegal or not after he helped build the London finance. So he's the last person, and he's been rewarded now for that. And now he's the head of one of these commissions. So Ofcom, Advertising Standards Authority, Boundary Commission, Electoral Commission, these organisations are corrupt. They're appointing corrupt people to run them, right? Which is scandalous. And when you ring up and complain, nothing gets done, because they've been designed not to solve problems, not to eradicate the crime and corruption. In fact, help spearhead a new generation of corruption and pervert the course of the enforcement. So it's not enforced. In fact, paving the way for basically logic to be cast to the wind, But when they did Spitting Image, they were all in. All chips were on the table. This is political material. It's definitely going to influence elections. The chips are on the table. And whether Mogg took the money, Rees-Mogg took the money. He's all in. I'm on the show. I'll present this show on GB News. Right, I'm going to entertain the nation. It's not a news program. Well, so what? You're not allowed to entertain people, right? You're not allowed to entertain your electors. Right, that's what it says in the election laws in 1688 and around William Orange, right? It says, right, that if you win or lose, well, Mogg lost. He put all his chips on the table, he lost. And the whole thing is to attempt to try to... Mogg was playing Fall Guy. I mean, he must have known it was illegal. I don't know why he took all that money, but I think they were going to try and get it past everyone. They had the Committee of Culture, Media and Sport set up. They were making it look legitimate. They had Ofcom on them in front of them. They were giving him a scolding. But the whole thing was a charade because all those MPs sat there around. Some of them used to be journalists and they're all going, this is legit, upset. There's a slight problem there with something that Mr. Mogg did. So you're going to have to possibly remove him. But, apart from that, the rest of it's legitimate. That's what they're trying to pass it off as. When the whole thing is corrupt. And because they've all, instead of getting they want it. They want the sweeties. They want the sweets. They want the sugar. They want the alcohol. They want the, whatever it is they're addicted to. They want the little mobile phone. It's populism. They want to be popular. They want to be presenters now. They want to be TV presenters, rock stars, Strictly Come Dancing, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, In the Jungle. They want to be, literally celebrities. They want to be celebrities. And politicians aren't there to be celebrities. They're there to be politicians. Now, true that everything's getting filmed and everyone's filming everything. We've got a problem. Well, we've got more than a problem. We've got an extremely bad problem because the cause and effect is still there. And that's what makes it illegal because it is actually affecting the outcome, right? And because this new social media is giving other people a platform who are not members of Labour and who are not members of the Conservatives and who are not long-established members of government, normal, everyday people are having more political effect now. And the celebrities themselves aren't politicians. And that's actually having more of an effect than the politicians themselves. So the politicians are like, oh, we need to get on there. Well, they're not allowed on there. So what's the solution? Well, the thing is that, all of the companies and businesses that they advocated and helped grow and then bought out, and now they're even setting new precedent for laws, consent submit, accept in our own houses, these creations have become a behemoth entity now, entity corporate, which is actually the real entity that's putting the most influence on. And they're advertising that all of not just Spitting Image, actually all these companies are actually being political in their adverts, like Warburton's with his Sylvester Stallone and the Expendables adverts, all those things. It's all affecting politics, all the sponsors in the football, the whole thing. And then the problem is that you've got the ballot box. Now, people who can be bothered to turn up and vote, right? This is what I think. I've just realised what I think the issue is now. I've just kind of realised it now, and I think this is definitely what it is. I think this is what it is. I think this is the actual fundamental, dynamic of this whole thing, which is causing problems for what we call the politicians or the established main government. And that is that when they've got their own political party voters and members turning up at voting day, and they go in there and they tick the little box, Labour or Tory or Lib Dem or whatever, right? Those are the people who can be bothered voting, right? And they do what their party says, right? Now, you're always going to have people who do petitions or can be bothered, get annoyed with the council doing this or that, or are always going to be like, lost sheep or oppose their main parties because their own party's doing something they don't necessarily support or like. You can't have everything perfect. But what I think it is the section which was that never voted, right? They just ignored them, and they could get away with ignoring them. But now, and this is where there's this whole Tucker Carlson, Russell Brand, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., although he's teamed up with Trump now. The silent section of public who are very large but were passive, right? The passive section of public who were large and could have, there's political potential there, but it was silent. It was null. There was nothing set in writing. There was no official statement, no tick in the box, nothing. And now they suddenly, with the social media switched on everywhere, like Blackpool Illuminations, what we've got are the voice of the silent now is not silent. And this is all your conspiracy theorists, your people who just don't like politicians or the political parties, philosophers, people who have got a lot more radical ideas or different ideas to the mainstream, and people who just, don't trust them and think they're corrupt and have seen that they're corrupt and probably have done for a very long time. And every other position. And now you're getting these people who have got a very strong voice and a very strong opinion, and it's equal to, if not more powerful than, these people who have enjoyed the main party positions. And that is going to disrupt their whole system. And this is why these politicians now, rather than just letting their TV adverts and their game shows tick over and kind of have this subconscious influence, like the football league, the football teams, give them their cars, give them their toys, send them through the McDonald's drive-through, put the little dancing M&M's characters on TV or whatever to keep everyone occupied and distracted. Because there's this big voice now of people who are challenging all this. The MPs can't just let their little automated chocolate machines tick over and keep everyone distracted, right, with their spitting image and so forth. What they're having to do is get in there. They're going on Strictly Come Dancing. They're actually they've pulled them in to participate, and that's when now it's just like the whole thing's gone. But the influence is there. It is illegal because you're not meant to have an illegal influence, right? But the whole ocean of it now is in so much turmoil that the boat's rocking so much that this is why they're panicking, and we're now having these lockdowns and threats from God knows where, incidents happening and so forth. So but the fact is that they are breaking the law, and now when you start to say, well, when did this start going wrong? I would definitely say, I think they've always had a political control and influence, and it's always been cheating in a way, but they used to at least try to pretend that it was legitimate and sensible. And I think probably in the 1960s, you got the Beatles. People were still being hung in the early 60s. I think the politicians were probably, you had the Monster Raving Loony Party. That was a little bit of, Monster Raving Loony Party is probably still a Beatles era thing. That's about as exciting as they got. I think the Monster Raving Loony Party kind of really was the outlet for them to kind of let their hair down. But it was an actual official political party. That's the thing. You could vote for it, right? And those were its own actions and demos. I think, probably that, I think that around that time might be when they kind of let it go, into this whole, around the Sex Pistols type, you got Sex Pistols, Monster Raving Loony Party, Spitting Image. I might be wrong about that. I could be wrong, but I think that's when, they started to, there was something gave way, I think it was definitely trying to be passing as sensible and above board before that, because that's where they made all the rules up. You might even say that, they made the rules up to control it all. There's an argument, right? There is an argument where you can say, well, they actually made up all those control rules up not to control, not to make it fair, to make it unfair. Maybe there shouldn't have been any controls or rules, and maybe it should be completely free for all. But it is true that if we're paying for these politicians, if they're funded by us, then really, how do they get elected? How do you know about them to elect them? Well, they've got to finance it themselves. And I think the thing with television is they're not financing it. They're not doing it. They're not raising the money themselves. And then they're not having measured financing, spending caps and stuff. So it's kind of fair. It's the fact that, it's a massive platform. It's GB News. Not only is Rees-Mogg being given as a presenter and he can entertain people, but they're actually paying him massive amounts of money for his own personal profit as well. And that's just wrong. And it didn't work out for him. I mean, he spun the casino wheel and, it could land on red or black, and he lost. And, he wanted to put the chips on the table, did Mogg, and he lost. And that's the thing. If you're going to put the chips on the table, you're gambling, and that's why. But they want it to go their way. They want to put the chips on the table and them not be able to lose, like it's impossible to lose. Well, if you've got Labour and Tory and they're both following Fabian policies, Tony Blair and Fabian policies, and you've got, Boris Johnson's in there, they can't lose, And this is when these major parties are effectively, you've got Nick Clegg's in there with Facebook, social media, Lib Dem, with Cameron selling Royal Mail off His Majesty and this government's personal secret Royal Mail service to the Germans, who then own it, submit consent, accept our policies, Your Majesty, Sorry, Your Majesty, you own this German company that you've sold, David Cameron sold Royal Mail to, probably, most likely, won't be surprised if you did own all the shares of it, It's like, His Majesty's Royal Mail. Well, David Cameron will sell it off, so it's privatised by a German company. Ezekiel submits consent, accept. Oh, by the way, who owns that German company? Oh, well, we don't know. It could be BlackRock and Vanguard, which, for all we know, could be Charles. I mean, he's Beyond Leaders, military-style operation. Well, you'd have to have a military-style operation beyond leaders with trillions at his disposal if you were a king and you had a privy council with weird devil's oath and you had a secret Royal Mail system for special secret government mail, and, why would you sell it off to the Germans, and then submit consent, submit all their policies? Isn't that a breach of national security, Hey, why don't we let the German government deal with all our internal Ministry of Justice and Whitehall military diplomatic strategy department mail? Hey, in fact, why don't we appoint Putin? Why don't we sell Royal Mail to Putin? And then Putin can make up a load of company policies, right? And then we can go submit, consent, accept. And then Putin can, just make some policies up where he can check our military's mail. You know, check our military's mail. Have a look to see what Corporal Sanders is sending Air Marshal, Field Marshal Johnson about his new 007 widget device, which they're going to be using under a periscope, under From Russia with Love, spying on the Russians, you know, and secret decoded mail. You know, maybe if Putin buys Royal Mail, maybe he gets all the secret decoding devices as well. Maybe it's in his policy. Maybe Putin's policy is, well, now I own Royal Mail and you submit consent to accept my policy, you'll have to give me the decoding machine, you know? And then the RAF, when they're testing the new planes out, maybe Putin's new ownership policy for Royal Mail is that you have to give him the decoding device. Give me the 357 decoder, you know, whatever the fuck it is off fucking... Spectre's training facility or whatever, you know, where's me umbrella cane stick with my gold sovereigns, my suitcase on the Orient Express or whatever, you know, this is it. You know, who goes there, friend or foe? Are these allies or not? No one knows now. No one knows. Depends what you see. You know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You know, friend or enemy. You know, who goes there, friend or foe? Well, it depends if you're being hostile or not. Well, I could fill you up with McDonald's until you get cancer and die. You know, or I could fill you up with cookies until you go diabetic. But then again, it's Ronald McDonald, your friendly clown. Well, I thought he was an ally, but now we all seem to be dropping off dead. You know, who declared this country as allies? Oh, the ministers. You know, oh those ministers. You know, spitting image. You know, with a walnut whip hairdo. You know, no wonder he's got a walnut whip hairdo. It actually turned into a walnut whip. You know, this is the thing. It's we've got these laws. They actually mean something in law, regardless of the current legislation in effect for election propaganda. It has a defined meaning in law, right? And that hasn't changed since 1688. Those acts actually are unabbreviated. They are they are rich with meaning, content, interpretation, and definitions, and give a thorough and full explanation rather than being redacted or abbreviated into a sentence which, you know, is insulting to the dictionary. You know, it's insulting to a statement. It's insulting to what is obviously still the case, which is obviously still the fact, which is obviously still what it means or is meant to mean or was intended to mean or is supposed to mean, and what the underlying principle of its existence exists for, right? Which is to stop people gaining an advantage over other persons and other persons being put at a disadvantage, right? This is the whole thing. So this is the thing with this social media now. They're just addicts. You know, they want to be, you know, they want 100 million, trillion, zillion followers, and just people just putting, you know, all these comments underneath. So, but, you know, Hoyle, I mean, he's following 3,530 people, and he's got 41,000 followers, which I don't really, it's a number to me, but this is all Chinese social point system, you know, how popular are you, you know, whoever's got the highest numbers wins, you know, it's like whoever's got the highest votes or whatever. I think it's, another thing that's just popped into my head is this whole like kind of like Father Ted thing, you know, some people, like Mrs. Brown's boys, Father Ted, these kind of like, you know, Alan Partridge, you know, Radio Norfolk. I think that these politicians who otherwise would be less relevant to populism, I think a lot of them are coming in at this kind of angle, almost kind of like, you know, Alan Partridge, you know, but they're eccentric, some of them, but then you've got, through GB News and through these illegal, making them even more populism, like particularly that guy, what's that? What's he called? Roy. What's that guy called? Oh, Lee Anderson. Yeah, Lee Anderson is a typical example. I mean, otherwise we would have think that he's quite plain and boring, but they managed to get him on GB News so he can bore you to death even more. And then, you had Tice, Farage. They've kind of got themselves a little step ladder up to get into government, and now they're in the government. What do you call him? Didn't quite make it in there. Reclaim the Media, where did that name even come? Reclaim the Media. It says it all. It's kind of like, that tells a secret plan. So this is the thing. They're almost wanting to be like Neil Oliver. Well, they've got Neil Oliver on in there with them, but this is the thing. They're only there. They're meant to appear like, almost kind of like A Christmas Carol. When it's time to vote, right? When it's time to vote, then they're meant to appear like the ghosts of Christmas past, Christmas present, and Christmas future, like in front of Scrooge. It's election time, right? And then they're supposed to pop up like these phantoms, and tell you what they're going to do to the government, right? And we're gonna get people better housing, or we're gonna stop the war, or we're gonna take away all the things that you love, like your vintage car, and put cycle lanes past your house, which make the street look ridiculous, and no one even wanted them, but someone's idea suddenly got put everywhere without anyone's consent. This is the thing. Or the MPs think that everyone should do more exercise, so they're going to build cycle lanes whether you like it or not. Why don't you just get rid of all the chocolate shops first and close down all the takeaways? That'll get people fit. Oh no, we can't take a hit in the tax box from that. Well, you shouldn't have put it there in the first place, should you? This is the thing. That's not our fault. That's your fault. Why didn't Bill Gates pay for it? Why didn't Elon Musk or Sergey Brin, or Mark Zuckerberg, pay for the losses? We can fill it back in from their bank vaults. This is the thing. So it's, they're cheating. And the local councils have been doing it for quite a while now, plastering the town centre with propaganda for their projects that they want to get through, that they want to get voted through, and with as least resistance as possible. Even ignore the consultations. They've managed to do that, which is illegal, because, a certain number of signatures is going to get you a local referendum anyway from Secretary of State. You walk into the council chamber, there's a 5-minute slot for petitions, right? Oh, here's a petition. There's a blank sheet of paper here. I want to petition Parliament. Oh, I might have it heard in the assizes, right? Oh, you can't do that. Why not? Well, it's not in the council rules. No, it's not in the council rules. It's my idea. I came up with it. And it is in the rules because it's a higher court and jurisdiction than this. This is just a court. I petition the king. They're the king's judges in the assizes. I have the right to petition the king. You want it to be the king's when you've got that mace in the front of you on the council chamber. I don't even know when they started putting those there. It's all right with his mace there. There's his crown on the top of Ashton-under-Lyne Magistrates Court. There's a big crown on there. It would go with that mace and make a nice set, wouldn't it? Oh, there's a big mace in the council chamber. Where's the crown? Oh, it's on the roof. It's on the roof in Middlesbrough. I'm going to have the flyover on Middlesbrough. There's two. There's a king's crown and a queen's crown. And there's his mace in the council chamber. We'll make a set. Someone can find his shoes somewhere, and you might have to find his cape. Might be down in Cornwall on the beach or something, like someone been fishing with it. This is the thing. There's problems. So, I mean, Hoyle, he seems to be sharing sport. But, again, he's declared it as MP. And he's put under here that he's proudly representing the constituents of Chorley and district since 1997. Well, if he's put a statement on here that hereby, I'm representing the constituents of Chorley and so forth, but he's got sport on there. He's sharing sporting matches. This is like his own personal stuff. You know, these are his personal interests. Sport, boxing, horse racing. I mean, this is not Parliament work. But it's declared that he's for supporting his residents. You know, you would have thought that, you know, Elon Musk had got some setting for politicians, so, you know, it's only visible to the constituents. What gets me is that MPs say, we can only converse with you if you are from this electorate. And then when you get challenge them on it, well, you know, what if you own property in that area, or, you know, you've got an interest in the area then, but I've got to prioritise my constituents, aka, you know, speak to my hand because my face ain't listening, right? Which basically means that they're not interested, which is almost like lawyers now saying, we ain't got the capacity. You know, it's effectively, if a lawyer doesn't want to do it now, there's two lines. The first is there's in a meeting, right? And the second one is that, firstly, let me hear who is it first, or if it's, you know, someone I'm not interested in talking to, then I'm in a meeting. If not, then, you know, pass me over to them, right? Or it's like, we don't have the capacity, or, you know, Jeremy Corbyn prioritises local people first, you know. Well, if his team's not working efficiently, maybe he needs a more efficient team. Maybe they're not paying MPs enough money, you know. Maybe they're not paying. Maybe we should give MPs a pay rise, and then they have got the capacity to, you know, deal with all the constituents and every matter. You know, this is the thing. So, you know, and I'm actually applying to Hoyle for a certificate to help a friend out. So, you know, I don't necessarily want to be on his bad books, but this is it's what it's declared as and for. You know. It's no one. I don't think anyone's saying that these people shouldn't have a personal life, but I mean, this is the thing. I mean, for example, let's take Jim Harrow, for example, right? Sir Jim Harrow. It's Sir Lindsay Hoyle. I actually thought Jim Harrow had a Twitter page. They've got HMRC Customs. They've got his Royal Majesty's Customs and Exercise page on here, but he actually had a Jim Harrow, his own thing. But last time I looked, I couldn't find it. Let me just press pause. Hold on. Notes coming up for Sir Jim Harrow, but he wasn't Sir Jim Harrow when I first wrote to him. In fact, I've got a letter and I haven't opened it yet, because I haven't been too well, and I've probably had it for about a week or two. I should open it, really. About, we're trying to get some tax back from petitioning.